Ayo, what's up, everybody? It is your final girl, Mel, and this is my killer podcast. Today, we are going to be jumping back into my Letterboxd to see what I have been watching. And you know what? It's been a lot of things. So I failed to do this in November for October, so I'm going to go back to October and quickly go through the things that I watched then, and then we'll talk about what I watched in November. Welcome to December! All right, without any further ado, let's get into it. So, in December, I started off watching the TV show Brand New Cherry Flavor. I just want to let you guys know it was amazing, but it was also excruciatingly weird. So, if you guys get into the weird, off-putting kind of TV shows, this one might be for you. It's a little sci-fi horror-ish, I would say, and it was a lot of fun, but it was also kind of gross. I did enjoy it, so maybe check that one out. The next film I watched was A Leap of Faith. This one is the documentary about The Exorcist. I was kind of hoping for a little more out of this one, but it was basically just talking about the director and the decisions that he made, and it was, I don't know, it was kind of like a love letter to him kind of situation. You got to find out a lot of interesting things, what happened on the set behind the movie The Exorcist, but I was kind of hoping we'd get a little more in-depth action as to what else was going on, maybe some more interviews. I gave that one 3 stars. I didn't really like it that much, though. Jumping back to Brand New Cherry Flavor, I did give that one 4 stars and I loved it. So I also went to the theater to see Venom, Let There Be Carnage. So I'm not necessarily a huge MCU fan. I don't watch all of the Marvel or DC movies, but I watch the ones that I am thoroughly entertained by. I really like Deadpool. I really like Venom. I really dig the old Batman movies. So I have my flavor when it comes to the superhero movies. I really liked The Boys TV show. So you'll see me from time to time watch some of these films. And I did watch Venom, Let There Be Carnage, because you guys know that I love Woody Harrelson. He is my boy. So I had to go see this one, and I liked it. I liked it a lot. I gave it 4 stars. So check that one out if you liked the first one. The second one gets a little more ridiculous, I would say, when it comes to Venom himself and the relationship between him and Tom Hardy's character, I guess. And Woody Harrelson just kind of adds that new flair to it, I guess. I also watched House on Haunted Hill. This is the 1959 version. I'm not going to lie. I went into this thinking it was something else. So I was just flipping through streaming and I came across it, read part of the title, was like, ooh, that looks interesting, clicked on it, and then started watching it. And then about 15 minutes through, I thought to myself, what the hell am I watching right now? I couldn't figure it out. And then finally, a little while later, I was like, oh, this is House on Haunted Hill, the original. I did end up actually really liking it, though. I did give it 3 stars with a heart just because there are some things about it that could have been done better or whatever. You know, every movie has that. And I was entertained by it, but am I going to go back and watch it 100 times? No. I am going to say some of the practical effects in this movie were kind of scary. A lot more scary than some of the things that you see today. So I was actually really impressed by that. Moving on, I did watch Scream in October because we just got the 4K release and I wanted to check it out, and I gave that one 4 stars with a heart. It's Scream. Everybody loves Scream. Scream is awesome. It's probably one of the best coming-of-age movies. It's a coming-of-age slasher. Is that a new subgenre? But everybody knows about Scream. It's great. I also watched Innocent Blood. I gave it 4 stars and a heart. This is an amazing, very underrated vampire movie. Nobody really talks about it a whole lot, but it is very good. It's about this woman. She's a vampire. but she's kind of on the streets all by herself, and she's trying to stay alive. She's basically just trying to survive in the world as it was in 1992. But she'll go and she'll select her victims and feed on them. And it seems like she's kind of more drawn to bad guys, which is, she's trying to at least do that anyway. And then she gets herself into a little pickle after that. It's good, and I do recommend giving it a watch. So the next one I watched was Hawk and Rev Vampire Slayers. So this one is a little ridiculous. It is a lot of ridiculous. This is your typical new age horror cheese. I went into it and started watching it thinking it was just going to be a horror comedy. And then the amount of ridiculous that comes out of this film, I was like, I'm not going to like this movie. So then I would go about my day doing something else. And then later I would think to myself, I need to finish watching that movie. So then I would pop it back on, go back to where I last left off, and I'd watch a little more of it. And then I'd be like, okay, this isn't that bad. Then another day would go by and I'd pop it back on again and I'd watch a little more of it. And then I was like, okay, this is kind of funny. And then by the time I actually finally finished watching this flick, it had been like the 5th time I've tried to finish it, and I ended up really liking it. I gave it 3 stars and a heart. You guys know that the 3 stars basically means I highly recommend you checking this film out and watching it for yourself. But the heart indicates whether or not I enjoyed it or not. And I did enjoy it. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I'll probably revisit this film and watch it one sitting all the way through just to make sure I feels the sames about it as I did when I watched it 5 different times. But check that one out. I did binge watch Squid Game, and I loved this one. I gave it 4 stars and a heart. It was creepy. It was gory. It was emotionally wrecking is what it was. It wrecked me emotionally. I'm going to say that. It's not the gore fest that I think everybody was hoping that it was going to be, because a lot of the kills that happen in the show do happen by gunshot, and some of the games that they play are truly traumatic. And I feel like the way that they were able to portray your own personal sense of terror and dread just by watching the show makes it worth its while. And also, it is English dubbed. I do want to point that out, which I found a little unsettling at first. I found it a little hard to watch it, but in the end, I feel like it actually added a little bit to the show. And also, you kind of get used to it. After the first episode, you're already used to it. It doesn't bother you anymore. There was only one character in particular that I kind of felt like was a little annoying with her voice and her extremeness, but I feel like that was also kind of part of it because she kind of rectifies herself in the end, if that makes any sense. I'm trying not to give away any spoilers because I want you guys to watch this, but I do have a written review of this one, as you can see right here. But if you want to check it out on my Letterboxd, the link will be below. You can log on over there. I did write reviews for some of these things, but I didn't write reviews for all of them just because there are some people on YouTube that are already reviewing these shows, and they're doing a really great job, so you can check their channels out. I also binge watched Midnight Mass. This one was phenomenal. I gave it 4 stars. I kind of feel like I could have tipped the edge and gave it the 5th star, but some of the acting in this one was not as believable as I was hoping it to be. Mainly our 2 main young characters. Sometimes when they're having their dialogue together, I just couldn't believe it. It wasn't believable to me. You know what I mean? It just didn't get me there. This is a very dialogue heavy show, but that doesn't make it boring at all. I'm going to tell you that right now. It is very worth your while to check out. The storyline is amazing, and it has some scenes in there that are going to hang with you, especially one in particular that I found to be quite fantastic. But like I said, I didn't do a written review on this one. I might go back and do one just because this show was so great and I did really like it. Maybe I'll do that. If I do, I'll post it on my Instagram, which that link will be down below as well. But like I said, I gave this one 4 stars and a heart. Let's see. Just for fun, I watched Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. This movie has a lot of nostalgia for me. Me and my brother used to watch this all the time when we were kids. It was just a fun, cheesy B horror movie to watch. And I think my mom kind of thought maybe this one wasn't as bad and was child appropriate, maybe. I feel like a lot of the horror movies that I watched when I was a kid, it was mostly because my mom thought that they were appropriate for kids. You know what I mean? Even though they weren't. I super duper love that movie. Nobody can tell me otherwise. I give it 4 stars and a heart. All right, finally, getting into the month of November, I did watch quite a few things. I'm going to just throw it out there. This isn't going to be by any means a short video for you guys. This is going to be grueling. Okay, so starting off at the beginning of the month, I watched The Guilty. This dropped on Netflix, I believe, and I wanted to check it out. It is a remake. I have not seen the original. It's starring Jake Gyllenhaal, and he plays kind of like a 911 operator, and he gets a particular 911 phone call that he has to deal with, and then he spends the majority of the movie dealing with this one person. But what's unique about this movie is it pretty much takes place all in one room or one building per se. And Jake Gyllenhaal is pretty much the only person other than the other person on the other end of the phone who are the only ones mostly in this film. There are some leading characters here and there that pop in every once in a while. So I thought he did an amazing job, specifically because he was holding this movie all on his own. And the story was fun. It was interesting and it kept my attention. Is it the greatest movie ever? No. But it did have kind of a little twist in the ending, which I feel like I saw it coming, but I didn't see it coming until later on in the movie. So I gave it 4 stars and a heart. Why not? Why not? I'm just throwing stars. I'm working on this. We'll be full throttle one of these days. I got you. I got you. So the next one I watched was Titan. I did write a review on this one. I know a lot of you are saying that this is like movie of the year or whatever, but I just did not like this one. I hate talking about movies that I didn't like because I'm here to pump up movies and I'm here to keep people in the genre and loving physical media and loving watching movies and all of the things, but I just could not get into this one. I'm sorry, I just couldn't. I gave it 2 stars. I don't want to say it was a little too weird for me because I like weird a lot of the times. It just didn't feel right. You know what I mean? And there was just some like really unexplainable things in this film that happened and then they never bothered to explain them. They would set up this whole story and then they would take you down a plot line and then they'd abandon it. And then they'd take you down a plot line and then they'd abandon it. And then I don't know. I just didn't like the way that this movie was set up. The acting was pretty good. The performances was pretty good. I don't know what else to say about this one. I don't want to give anything away because it is truly unique. I'm not going to recommend watching it, but I do have a written review on Letterboxd. You guys can go check that out. It speaks more to it than I'm going to right now because I got a lot of movies to talk about and I would rather talk about the ones that I really liked. So next up, I watched The Brain. This is a 1988 film. This one, I believe, was a Scream Factory release that I picked up from one of the sales or Hamilton Book or something, one of those. It's just your typical cheesy B horror flick. I gave it 3 stars and a heart. I did like it, and I do recommend you checking it out. The monster in this movie, the practical effects were pretty fucking good. So, if not for any other reason than to check it out for the monster. So, I started to get a little FOMO because I kept hearing people talk about Tusk. It's an A24 film, but I had never seen it, and I kind of steer clear of A24 films because I just don't normally like them. Hot take, I did not like Midsommar. I didn't like it. I did like Hereditary. I liked that one quite a bit. So I just generally try and steer clear of them. But I started to get FOMO about this one. I knew what I was getting myself into going into it. So maybe that's what helped. I don't know. But I ended up watching it. I ended up buying it because I couldn't find it streaming anywhere for free. So I was like, whatever, I'm just going to buy it. I'm a physical media collector. I might as well just buy it. Well, I did not realize the ride that I was in for with this one. It is pretty heavy on the dialogue. I am going to say that. And I was quite surprised to see Johnny Depp in this movie. Yes, Johnny Depp is in this film. And he plays the charming character of Guy Lapointe. So he is the private investigator, I feel like, or just investigator or whatever in this film. I spotted him a mile away and I almost didn't even believe it because it was the first time I watched it, I spotted him and I was like, what the fuck? That's Johnny Depp. What is he doing in this movie? And then I finished the movie and decided I did like it. This film actually hung with me till the next day. I need to watch that again. So I streamed it again. So I came to the point where Johnny Depp enters the movie and I was just like, man, what the fuck is Johnny Depp doing in this movie? So I had to get on IMDb just to make sure it was him. And they buried him in this movie. It is so strange. I need to watch the special features to see what's really going on with it because one, they dress him up with prosthetics and all that stuff on his face to not really make him look like himself. If you Google Tusk and you go to cast, he's fucking buried way at the bottom. Actually, I don't even know that his name appears on the cast list on Google, but if you go to IMDb and you look it up, his name is buried at the bottom. But it is a hidden gem because now I don't feel like anybody could have played that part but him. Anyway, rambling aside, I gave this movie 4 stars and a heart. It was great. Go check it out. It's weird though. It's a weird one. It's not going to be for everybody. I also watched Censor. I gave this one 3 stars and a heart. I did like it, but it's not what I thought it was going to be. It didn't go as deep as I thought it was going to go. It didn't get as crazy as I thought it was going to get, and it wasn't quite as scary as I was hoping it would be. So because of all of those things, I gave it 3 stars. The performances were great, and the atmosphere in this film is beyond compare. I did end up picking up the Vinegar Syndrome release of Censor. Second Sight Films, I'll show it somewhere. They are also doing a release of this film that looks very squish, but I opted to not get that one. And it's really just for no other reason than I didn't like this one as much as I thought I was gonna. Had it reached that 4 stars, I probably would have opted for the Second Sight release, but I just couldn't justify it based off of my overall feeling about this film. I gave it 3 stars and a heart. I do highly recommend checking it out. LA Story dropped in November, so I was super excited to scoop that one up and check it out. I did a written review on Letterboxd. I gave it 4 stars and a heart. I love Steve Martin. He can do no wrong in my eyes. I will always get all of his movies every time they come out. This is just a fun, cheeky little love story. This is pretty much exactly what you would imagine a real-life love story to be. It's not all Prince Charming and carriage rides. Love is messy, and this movie portrays that, and that's how it usually is. But if it's meant to be, then it'll happen in the end, and it's very heartwarming and funny, so I do highly recommend checking that out. Actually, pick up the physical release because it came with a bomb-ass slipcover. Did watch Saint Maud. I picked this one up on release day. This one also wasn't quite what I thought it was going to be. I gave it 3 stars and a heart. I did really like it. The atmosphere was really deep and dreary. In the end, it kind of leaves you wondering what the hell. And I thought it was going to be a little darker and scarier than it ended up being, but it was more kind of a character study, more of a slow spiral into madness kind of situation. But if you guys want to check out a little deeper into what I thought about it, check out my written review on Letterboxd. I watched Bubba Hotep. This was a Scream Factory release. I gave it 3 stars and a heart. I did like it. It was a little more serious than I thought it was going to be. It has Bruce Campbell in it, which is the main reason why I wanted to check it out. It was like a cheesy B horror movie dressed up as a serious horror. I don't know. It was really kind of weird. There wasn't much funny about it, but I don't know. I still liked it. I just wish it had that Bruce Campbell comedic charm to it. I gave it 3 stars and a heart. Did I mention that? I watched Jungle Cruise. I actually did like this one. I gave it 3 stars and a heart. I probably could push this one to that 4 stars because if you go into this film knowing exactly what you're getting yourself into, it's a family adventure movie. It's like a Pirates of the Caribbean meets Indiana Jones. So if you go into it knowing that that's what you're going to get, you're going to really like this one. I probably might kick that up and give it a 4 star because it was well performed. The special effects got a little away from them though. They did look pretty cheesy, fake. But I don't think that they really cared about that. I think that maybe was to its point, you know, it being an action adventure fantasy type film. But check that one out. It was good. I didn't pick up the physical release of this one, but I'm kind of thinking I might. I don't need the steelbook, I don't think, but I would like maybe the 4K slipcover. I haven't picked it up yet. I think my store still has one, but I don't know. I'm still thinking about it. I'm going to think about it until it's too late, and then I just won't end up getting it. I did watch The Nighthouse, and I really liked this one. I gave it 4 stars and a heart. This one was pretty amazing. I went into this one pretty blind. I tried to steer clear of reviews of this one. The most I heard was that it was really good and it was worth checking out, and it wasn't what people expected. And that was mostly what I heard about it. So I went into it thinking exactly that, and that's exactly what I got. It was a good movie. It had a good story, and it wasn't what I expected. So I will definitely be rewatching this one very soon because it kind of hung with me long enough for me to just want to watch it again. And I highly recommend you guys watching it and picking up the physical release. I was a little disappointed in this release just because it was just your typical cheap release. It didn't have a slipcover. It didn't, there really wasn't anything special about it. So that was kind of a bummer. I actually kind of hope somebody maybe does a special release of this one, because I think it deserves it. It deserves like a Lake Mungo treatment. So Second Sight, maybe look into The Nighthouse. I also watched 12 Hour Shift. This one has been out for a while. I owned it. I always wanted to watch it, and I just never did. I didn't do a written review of this one, even though I thought maybe I did. But I don't see one. So maybe I didn't. It was probably one of those situations. This is what happens to me. So I'll start a written review of Letterboxd on a movie, and then I won't finish it because I'll want to think more about it, and I'll come back to it, or I'll shut my computer down or something like that, or I'll close out the app on my phone. And it doesn't save your work for you. You have to physically save your work. So it's been a couple times where I've written out written reviews and I didn't save them and I lost them, and it was pretty devastating. But anyway, 4 stars and a heart. I liked it. Go check it out. The lead actress actually reminds me of a friend of mine. I did pop on Mrs. Doubtfire for Thanksgiving because I felt like it was like, I don't know, the perfect Thanksgiving movie. Other than Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, I kind of wish we would have watched that one for Thanksgiving too. I held on to that one. I don't know why, just because I was watching so many other things. My list was kind of long already. So I never got around to it, but I'm going to watch it for Christmas, even though it feels more like a Thanksgiving movie, but whatever. Anyway, I watched Miss Doubtfire, 4 stars and a heart, love it. Everyone has seen Miss Doubtfire, and if you haven't, watch it. It's fun. It's charming. It's I don't know, it hits you in the heart and in the soul. Okay, that's it. Yay! So those are all the films that I checked out in the months of October and November. Hit me in the comments below and let me know if any of you guys watched these films. Yes, I realize I didn't watch very many off of my October horror watch list. Shit happens. Sometimes you just don't get around to watching those films. I planned on watching all of them. Things got released and got pushed to the head of the line. That's probably going to happen every year. But let me know what you guys watched in the months of October and November. I feel like I pretty much know what everybody watched in October, but let me know what you watched in November, and let me know if you're going to check out any of these based off of me watching them. Anyway, you guys know what to do. If you want to further help support me and my channel, go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and kill that bell for your girls. Share me with your friends if they need any movie recommendations or want to hear some movie reviews and ratings from me. Also, if you want to take it one step further and join my Patreon, we can have some fun over there, and you can help keep my dream alive and yourselves entertained and keep these lights on. But until the next time we hang, my friends, have a killer day. Peace!